How do you feel about your gift?
How do I feel about?
The flowers.
I always love flowers. You come to my home. I do my own planting. I do side, celery, tomato, okra, baigan, and then I do flowers. So that you come, I just love flowers. I thank Yasina so much. I've known Yasina from way back when, before I became a politician. I produced twice. And twice. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This lady is very powerful, and she's going to make sure Trinidad will be safe, and she will protect all children, all people in Trinidad. Protect me, protect you, protect you. She has big blessings, and she has big protection. Nobody can touch her. Anybody who touch her,
Prime Minister, what do you have to say to Venezuelans like Yasina who support what you're doing but who may currently feel uncomfortable right now living in Trinidad, that they will be targeted?
Have you asked her if she's uncomfortable right now?
but as I said, she's protected. She's being guarded by the right people. America will protect Trinidad. They will never allow anything bad happen here. No fear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome back to Yellow's Eco program. I have Mr. Suman Singh and our civil engineer Ken Dalchan. Gentlemen, welcome back to the program. Let's hear from you your input on what you see happening there. We saw a general from the United States military visited Trinidad recently. Let's see. Play the General Dan Kane was having some doubles, and he enjoyed himself greatly. I'm not sure if he left us yet. He's still there, but we're getting all the support from the United States to assist us with upgrading our national security apparatus, I would say. And it's something that I long hoped for. And you guys know I've mentioned that. And Ken also recently came on board with us and mentioned the same thing too. So let's hear your perspective, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Um, Definitely, the U.S. presence in these parts, especially what's happening in our immediate waters or in and around Trinidad and Tobago, is definitely a blessing. And I strongly encourage that. And also, I'm thankful that they have taken an upper hand and the Prime Minister has agreed to whatever concessions she may have had to make sure that their presence is felt. And it's felt, as we can see in the numbers, the sharp drop, 40%, 42% drop in the murder rate, for example, and the amount of drugs seized and so on. In fact, the rumor is that drugs have become so expensive now that the criminals are on the run because they don't know where to go and get, to fulfill their demand. So it's that it will have a ripple effect and a positive ripple effect to normal citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because with Christmas time is coming up shortly. Then after that is Carnival, and not there's always an upsurge in criminal activity leading up to these things. So I guess if their presence, and I hope that the presence continues for a while, and that along with the SOE definitely had a dent in the criminal activities going on. Secondly, And equally important, we see the level of tariffs or tariff deduction for agriculture produce in our exports to the US. So that is beginning to play a role as well. We are the beneficiary of uh, that tax reduction or the tariff reduction, which means we're getting some sort of preferential treatment. And if we were to stick with CARICOM, I don't think we would have enjoyed these things. Because all these CARICOM, this is a zone of peace, and crap. That's all crap. Because Trinidad had to bear the brunt of all these Venezuelans coming into the country. We had to provide accommodation, accessibility, a rise in criminal activities, and blah blah blah. Places for them in schools now, health hospitals and health centers. We had it was a big burden on the government, And here is it. We have been getting help in trying to make sure that we can at least come back the country that is come back to a sense of normalcy, and certain people put it bluntly pissed off. And why should they? It all tells you the politics involved. And if I may add, the PNM Minister Gonzalez, I hear him today saying that the Prime Minister should level with the nation. She should tell the nation what the discussions and so on were all about. Well, when Raul was entertaining Delcy Rodriguez and all these people were coming into the night, no one knowing anything. Where was the information reaching to the public? Where was the discussions that were taking place? Why didn't they said what the discussions were all about? That time they all had, as I continue to say, they had PIP. So nobody bothered at that time to ask the question, what was Delcy coming to speak about, to meet with the government officials? So this, in my opinion, is one of national security, and I think the PM is quite correct not to divulge any sort of information other than general information. That's my opinion on this so far.
Well, so you hit the nail on the head there. With regards to all the benefits, right? That for Trinidad and Tobago, starting with the tariffs on the agricultural products, that is huge, right? And we have to thank the Prime Minister for taking that initiative to draw that fine line and say, hey, this is where we stand, right? And we're going to support the United States, right, in their fight against drugs, right? I mean, we have these powerful cartels, global networks, shipping tons of illegal drugs, right? Poison communities, right? So it took a man like Trump, right? A guy like Trump, President Trump, to take that stand and say, you know what? I don't give a crap. I'm going to solve this problem. He is not a politician. He's not a seasoned Washington politician, right? And that is what the people want. You don't want the politician coming and talking and saying, well, we're going to do this and do that, and always go and get it done. We want to see results. And that is what Trump is about, right? We're blowing up all those boats, hauling tons of cocaine from Venezuela en route from through Colombia and other Latin American countries, coming through the border, the Mexican border, right? We shut down all of that. Now they're going to try to infiltrate the Caribbean islands. Where are we located? Right next to Venezuela. So unlike the rest of CARICOM, we are very vulnerable when it comes to trafficking of illegal drugs. So, Matt, when you come to the airport, I mean, you probably came to the US a couple times, flying through Orlando or Miami. They have that dog right where our luggage is coming out there. That little beagle, that sniffer dog.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Sniffing all the luggage as it's coming out the chute, right? And they're asking you, okay, what is that there? What you bringing? You know, I had to tell the guy one time, I have some fried chicken in there, some Kentucky fried chicken, you know. But
Yeah, yeah.
again, you know, we are noted, right? And we are also uh in a position where we have to fix that, right? And the United States is taking that initiative, right, to go ahead, deploy the resources, right? Given our geographic location, 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela, we have to partner with the United States because we are feeling the brunt of that problem, that geopolitical problem that's occurring in Venezuela. There are some people
Mm-hmm,
who are living like kings and queens there, while others are
mm-hmm,
foraging through the garbage just to survive, right?
mm-hmm.
And they are the ones who are trying to get out of Venezuela, migrating throughout Latin America and Trinidad. And now that burden, right? I mean, to say, look, we can't take care of everyone, right? But there's so much that we can handle. That extra burden is going to put strain on our resources, the healthcare system, the education system. You know, um, when we think about crime, I mean, we are not vetting. The last government, they had an open border. Every and anybody was just sailing across here, back and forth, right? We are not vetting who's coming in, who's a serial killer, who's a murderer, who's a drug trafficker, right? You know, and that's a problem, right? When it comes to crime, you know, crime has just exploded over the last 10 years. 2022, 614 murders, correct me if I'm wrong, right? A record. Only 2 years after to be broken with 624 just last year, right? Record.
Yes,
We've never seen this
but
kind of numbers. So sometimes we need to reflect on the numbers, the hardcore data, right? The PNM government has allowed this country to decay over the last 10 years. And I'm going to say it loud and clear. And the proof are in the numbers there, right? We have never seen this kind of numbers when it comes to homicides, serious crimes, home invasion. Right now, as we're speaking, I think they're debating the bill in Parliament, right? The Stand Your Ground bill,
yes,
right? And I
yes.
definitely support this. You know, I'm definitely for this because we have never seen this amount of home invasions so prevalent throughout Trinidad, right? People coming, 4 or 5 guys come and jump in your fence, come in here, breaking your door, and they're robbing you. And if you don't have enough to give them, they're beating you. Sometimes they could kill you, right? This is nonsense. This has to stop, right? We
And
have to make Trinidad safe again.
yeah, Ken, you know, if you look at the data, and I've looked at it for a little over 20 years, it's only when PNM is power, crime is one thing that always increases. Only when PNM is, the crime statistic shoots up year over year over year over year. They're all records. And you ask the question, why? Even now, the opposition PNM government, they are the only one who is not supporting the government in this crime initiative. In fact, they're querying, wow, why is this so? Why are you all doing this? And so on. So they're not on board. And if how can an opposition be so just opposing for opposing's sake? No. Security is a national ministry. That is the Ministry of National Security is for everybody. It doesn't matter which party you belong to. Everybody wants to live in a nice, safe, healthy, clean environment. And when you as a party can come and say, well, why you all are doing these things, and no wonder crime is at its peak levels when they're in power. And I always maintain my position. The borders in Trinidad for the past 10 years were deliberately left open. deliberately left open. Why? To foster the criminals and the criminal activities. Certain segments of the population had access to a lot of illegal activities coming across the border into Trinidad. So they were literally given a free hand. The deal and wheel and deal, as we say. So these things were left unfestered, left to grow, left to flourish. So when you see they now want to come and say, well, tell us what these discussions were all about between, Kamala, the Prime Minister, and the U.S. representative. They want to know. Yet when, as I say, when Delcy Rodriguez and them, coming over midnight and Rowley didn't know who was coming to the diplomatic center to have a discussion and so on, who was the person between him and Stuart Young and so on. How come they were not leveling with the people that time? So it's in their self-interest, for the PNM that is, to ensure that the borders remain open as it is. 15 Coast Guard boats were packed up, no diesel. And we swallowed that as a population for 10 years, 9.5 to 10 years. So I'm happy what's going on. We got to bust up the drug lords and so on. This is how you could do it. Nobody else has the military power as well as the economic power to challenge these guys, because their empire is worth more than the national budget of some of these islands. They are so massive, so well connected, so much resources at hand. They can literally buy off any island government and what have you. So this is what it is.
Well, Sumada, again, the drug industry, this illicit drug sector, is not a multi-million-dollar sector; it's a multi-billion-dollar sector, right?
Mhm.
And most of these politicians in these Latin American countries, around the epicenter there, Colombia, Peru and Mexico and this place, a lot of them during their campaign, they're funded with drug money, right?
Mhm.
You think the president of Colombia could stand up and say, "I'm going to go after these drug cartels with impunity," right? They will probably cut him down in a matter of a couple of days, right? So why is it we can't stop this amount of drugs coming out of Colombia and these other Latin American countries? Because they're all involved with it, and that's why we needed a man like Trump, right, to go after them. They know that Trump means business. He's not your regular typical Washington politician, right? Shuffle papers.
I think Ken dropped out there by mistake. Well, go ahead, Suman.
Yeah, so as I keep on saying, only when the PNM is there, you have this increase in criminal activity to the extent that is record after record after record, year after year after year. How come in 6 months' time we have been able to make a dent in the numbers? How come that you see new legislation being debated to prevent certain of these heinous criminal activities from going on? And they, to a large extent, are against this type of legislation. They are against these type of policies. They are against this type of activities. What's happening right now in the Gulf and in the Caribbean region? Why are they against all of this? and it lends, its hand towards somebody or some people or some party was the beneficiary of financial inducements for these things to fester and grow. And this is how I'm seeing it, that only when they are affected, now you hear them talking. And they are talking against good, positive changes which are happening in the economy. That's one thing. But Gary, I want to touch on something else. I heard the former Minister of Education is hoping and instructing the government, the present government, that I hope you all pay the 10% before Christmas. Can you imagine that? They were there for 10 years. 10 years they were there and they couldn't pay the people, the public servants and others, their back pay. Right? Only this government had the testicular fortitude to come out and say yes. As a campaign, we're going to pay that 10% and they're delivering on it. But here is it. Gatsby Dolly is saying, she's hoping that this government make good their promise and pay the people before Christmas. Like, what is her role? Somebody needs to stand up and ask her, well, why didn't you pay them for the 10 years? Huh? Why didn't you pay them their arrears for the past 10 years? But now you have the guts to talk and instruct the current government to pay them, hoping that they get their back pay by Christmas. Again, it always goes to show, boy, I keep on saying time and time again that they deliberately broke all the systems, all the things that we had, the institutions we had in place, starting from higher up, like from the judiciary going back. They broke the system. So that once it's broken like that, there is no accountability. And once there is no accountability, they got a free hand to rape the country. And that is why, so much billions of dollars were siphoned out through contracts and simple, basic things that permanent secretaries and so on, and their legal departments in the ministries, reading a contract. Can someone get a contract without a lease or a written lease indicating the amount to be paid per month? The duration of this lease is 2 years or 3 years, as the case may be, and signed by the relevant authorities. Sometimes no signature on these things. Yeah, and how come leases were renewed without signatures and so on? So that's what I've said. When the PNM government broke all the system, they knew exactly what they were doing, that they could get away with all this crap that was done during this period. That's why you find people like our warrior, they were questionable characters in all of this. Giving contracts to CPEP and URP persons without contracts, without signed contracts, and some contracts being extended up to 2029. Check it, 2029. All of the friends and families are, of the past regime. So these are the things they did deliberately because there were no systems in place, no accountability in place. And who knows, there are lots and lots and lots and lots of missing files, which is going on in the country right now. A lot of missing data. So when you don't have the data, how can you go ahead and start to prosecute? And I'm very, very concerned about that, is that when information is missing, what sort of judicial decisions can come out of it. Can these people really be charged? And if they can't, then everything falls apart. So missing data, missing files, missing information, people being resigned or retired since then, it all amounts to a system of chaos. And in that chaos, all previous discrepancies just goes to rest. Nobody is persecuted, and everything is hunky all right all along. I'm afraid that is what irks me, and that is what bothers me more than anything else. That how so many of these ex-ministers can or did what they did and still get away with all their misadventures. Yeah?
Ken, you're mute. Your mic is muted. Check your mic, please, Ken. We're still not hearing you. In fact, you're coming in very little low. You should check your mic. A little bit. It's improving there now. Check now. Ken? Yeah, not really hearing you. Something went wrong with that. And if you want to come back in. Yeah, I'm not hearing him. Yeah.
Okay, he dropped off.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything? You heard anything lately with respect to any of these projects? Because it was done a lot of fanfare with these 129 projects. I saw the Minister of Works along with the Minister of Planning, along with the Minister of Agriculture and Lands, Mr. Saddam Hussein, Kennedy Swarat Singh, and Julian John. They are in the Middle East trying to get some funding for some of these projects. They left the UAE today to go to Dubai, I think. That is what I read. So I'm not too sure if these projects are just plans and they now have to go out and try to get the monies for the projects.
Well, it's obviously we're going to need the funding. I mean, this is a very, how to say, upscale, very large project that is planned. There's a lot of development.
Yeah, that's a transformation. That these things happen, the whole country will be transformed to, putting us in the road to move forward. So it's a very good initiative. I agree with what is being done, but if now is the time you're not going to look for funding, I see it like a little bit like the cart before the horse. Unless they go into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund and do some borrowings from that and kickstart some of these projects. And then in the meantime,
we have a government that can chew gum and walk too. Okay? And we are doing several things simultaneously. So I am fully confident that we can move forward, with what's taking place.
Yeah. A pity Vaid is not here, but Vaid, as an economist like myself as well, we know that when given our poor country rating, like Standard & Poor's or Moody's and so on, when they rate the country.
Welcome, Dr. Ramup. Dr. Ramup in the house.
Hi guys.
Welcome, Dr. Amrup.
How things?
Good.
Good man.
Right.
good as can be. Good as can be. Yes, as I was saying, our present rating, is on the downward spiral, which means that your borrowing costs are more expensive than before. So whereas before you were paying like, let's say, 3% or 4% interest, now you're paying 7 and 8% interest. And because of the inefficiencies that came up over the past 10 years or so. So our borrowing cost will definitely impact if they are trying to source these funds from overseas. Means our mortgage and our debt liability will be a lot more than expected. So
Funds, investors, investing into our project there too. Just a matter. I think that not everything is disclosed. You have to also know that what we see and what you think we know, there might be a lot of things substantial that the government has in the bag already, and has not been disclosed yet. And if you notice, a lot of countries has jumped forward to conduct business with Mrs. Bisesa because she is the prime minister. They have been more engaged in and more interested in engaging because of who the prime minister is and because of the government that we have today. You haven't seen that so much with the previous government. So the potential is highly possible.
And that's correct, Gary. That's correct. Um, we forged a good relationship with India. India is now the fourth largest economy in the world.
We
You
did
know,
what? We was about what, 3 months? 3 months in government when that took place?
yeah,
Even,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it came in May uh, or July. Sorry, July. He came in July. Modi, that is.
Yeah.
You know,
And that was a very optimistic, very positive meeting, engagement there, right? For him to even extend that that residency, that citizenship, sixth generation, for
God,
Trinidadians, right? That
I
shows
mean,
the
just
strength.
look at the amount of things that Modi brought on the table,
Yeah,
in one
yeah,
visit.
correct.
yeah, I think the amount was 300 million US dollars in total if we take advantage to make use of the offers. And
Exactly.
I think the government should really have a team to explore this, to make sure that beat the iron while it's hot now.
Yeah, yeah,
Take advantage of the help being offered in the areas of flooding and agriculture and technology. I think they got two of the sea ambulances already. That was part of the offering as well. So we should take advantage of these offerings when it's made, and rather than just letting it take its own pace, because if ever he needed help in trying to restore this country, no, it's now. It's now. So we should
definitely.
really have a team exploring and identifying areas of help and take it, take the initiative to make it happen.
Well, as far as I am a little aware of, I don't know everything, but a little bit. There's a lot of things being done behind the scene that has not been disclosed yet to put things in perspective. All right, so we will see things unfolding pretty soon.
That's nice. That is always positive to hear that.
The boss lady might have some money wrap up in Chiorni and things, so don't underestimate she. I mean, she might have something under the
I just,
bed in the climpan.
Mattress.
You know how we Indian people does operate. So
I
don't
just,
underestimate the boss lady at all.
I just say that my dad, he said, when he went back to India, And when he was there, he said his mother, she used to tie her money in her orney. And the monkey came and took the orney and went up, 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 way on top the roof with the orney and the money. And, they had to coax him by offering the food and so on so that he can bring back the orney to get the money. But
So I mean, you're seeing the motivation of foreign investments and foreign countries are very motivated to engage our prime minister. She's well
yes,
loved internationally. She had her first rounds as a prime minister, so they know what to expect from her. They know what her objective and intentions are, and she's not arrogant like the previous government and prime minister there. So, I mean, I think there's a lot that could take place because of her.
yeah, that's true. And she has a lot of positive rating overseas, a lot of positive rating. So um, that's always a plus. A lot of worthy organizations know you and know what you stand for and so on. So that's great. That's a good positive line going forward. So I agree with you there. Um, I see. Well, Guyana is trying to hold some discussions with us next year, February, concerning the oil and so on, oil and natural gas projects. Um,
There's
I
some
don't know.
potential with Jamaica is discovering some resources that have been discovered in Jamaica, and they are not prepared to handle as Trinidad will be prepared. I mean, and also as mentioned previously by our Minister of Trade, there was some development taking place in the African continent where, there was organizing for direct flights and for the investment from the African continent. Several African countries doing business with us. And so that is some investment that will come in our way too. So there's going to be a trade back and forth. And I think there's a very large potential to build an industrial level port on the Mayaro side because of how Mayaro is located. And if you look at the countries, can come directly into Mayaro from the European side and the African side and the Middle East. We're in a good position there from on the Mayaro side, to have a port developed there, large enough to accommodate, cargo. So not just the oil, but the whole full-fledged port. So there's some potential there. Should we, able to engage certain countries and make it, direct access coming from the Middle East and Europe and stuff like that. But Ken, maybe you could help me there with a few things there in
No,
what I'm
certainly,
saying.
certainly, Gary. Once we put the infrastructure, we build the infrastructure and have it in place there, then we can accommodate. For example, the cruise ship port, right? We need a good cruise ship port. I always like to use that case with St. Lucia. I was out there a couple of years ago looking at the flooding and stuff in Castries, and all of a sudden I'm looking up and in fact there was a flooding problem in Castries. We went to sort out there, and I was doing collecting some data and trying to map the drains and whatnot. I saw there was like three massive cruise ships there, right? I said, "Wow, look at these cash cows!" And they had a problem with plastic waste, and I was able to address it in a report. But yeah, once you build the infrastructure, right? They would definitely you will definitely have the traffic, you know, and some of these more exclusive cruise lines like Disney. Imagine a Disney cruise line coming to Tobago or to Trinidad. You know,
Mhm.
that would be a big plus, right? Think about the amount of foreign exchange. But in addition
Or
to that, yeah, but
yeah, we have mostly Carnival cruise lines out of Miami, Port of Miami, and then Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines out Fort Lauderdale, right there in Fort Lauderdale. Um, Princess Cruises as well, and Holland America. Those are the four big cruise lines that come in. So Disney, if Disney were to enter the fray, it will be a real plus. But um, Disney tends to not to go out of the US too much because they try to get the people to stay in Disney World and experience all of the Disney properties, Disney attractions, and so
So
on.
we create our own Disney. We create our own
But that is
amusement
what
park, water park.
that,
Look
that
at the
is
Seaside Heights. I've been recommending for the Mayaro Strip there. That
that
how we have down on the Jersey Shore there. I mean, that is something that if we got the right, investment there, we could entice. We could entice foreign investments to set up hotels and whatever. You know.
that that
So,
is a fantastic piece of real estate that has remained unexplored.
No, no. Look
Um,
at the screen here for a little bit. No, look where Trinidad is, and look at the access by the North Atlantic there, as to the flow of how to say commerce that can take place, because we have Europe, Africa, and the Middle East in one side there alone. That can come directly into Trinidad. If you look at
yeah,
from on the Mayaro side, I mean,
yes, yes, yeah. But
and
I
Latin
was
America is also going to be huge moving forward. Yeah? Latin
yeah,
yes,
America
yeah. Well, I
is the
mean,
next
well,
roaring
look, yeah,
tiger.
coming around the other side, yeah.
So we're like a hub.
but like a hub, yeah, what they call like a hub and spoke, basically. Use Trinidad as a one-stop
So
shop
even if you're en route
all of
to the
South
United
America.
States, you could stop off, refuel, and reservice your vessel, and then move on. Because we're in the perfect location there.
Gary, I don't know if you know that was a strategy that was used already in Trinidad. I signed a contract with
So my
Virgin.
imagination is working well then,
Yeah, it's on
and I
track,
had no
really.
information about that.
Yeah. What? Let me tell you. When I signed contract with Virgin Atlantic to fly into Tobago from UK to Tobago directly, you know, they will come to Tobago, drop off the tourists, then go back to either Barbados or St. Kitts in one of their flights, and come back to Trinidad to refuel. They come back, sorry, to Tobago to refuel because I use that as an inducement. They're cheaper, aviation fuel. So they will come back from St. Kitts or Barbados, come back here, refuel, and then fly directly now to London, Heathrow. So exactly what you're saying. Use that as a refueling stop. They will send a whole set of commerce around that sort of one thing. Not they will not only refuel, they might take some inventory on board and so on. Buy some food, do some repairs as the case may be, or some little things before they move on to the next stop. So, but that whole Mayaro, Guayamantan area is so. I always imagine that to be like Miami Beach. If you know Miami Beach, Fort Lauderdale area, that whole area, why can't we, or at least start the thing, man, start the process? Create some
Well,
nice boardwalks
I
from
had a
the
little stint
hotel.
in Miami Beach, but I know much more about the Jersey Shore and the
I
long
happen to,
strips of boardwalk with all the
yes,
amusement parks and things there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
happen to know that area well too. Gary, in the New Jersey Strip, especially up at the Ocean Grove, Why it's a holiday there, a lot of summers. Um, but it's, you could create a whole new ecosystem there with hotels and golf courses and retirement homes and all these boardwalks and um, a lot of sports, fishing, boat race, all there's so much activities you can create by just by putting the infrastructure in place there initially. You know, investors will come. They will come once they see the potential and once they are the right inducements. The right sort of packages you have allow them to come and do development. And if you notice now, a place called St. Kitts right now, a lot of expats are coming to live in St. Kitts. Why? There are concessions offered to them, the right to own property and land, and so there's let the legislative side has to be put in place, and so on. So people can come, retire, large communities of retired and semi-retired people come and live there. So economic activity starts to rotate and develop. And with that come the need for medical services, the need for entertainment, the need for recreation, like golf courses and what have you. There are so many things that whole eastern seaboard which remains neglected, in my opinion. My Yarrow, San Guaya area, So the potential is there. I didn't see anything much in the plans other than a highway from Sando to Mayaro. I didn't see anything for boardwalks and so on in that area. So maybe down the line. I don't know.
Well, Samad, as you mentioned, highway. Um, we did a plan, a proposed plan to connect Central to the East Coast,
I
Manzanilla,
saw I
right?
saw it. Yes, can I look at that?
Because and as you say, you have to make the island more accessible also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, for a tourist to take a rental car from Port of Spain and try to go down to Maya Road, going through some of these roads there, I don't think they will make it, right? But they probably get lost and so forth. But if you have the infrastructure with signs, well illuminated and stuff, and you have the boardwalk where when they go there, they could, have access to restaurants, our local, handicraft, all this other stuff where they could purchase souvenirs. And the place is safe, clean, safe, local food, local content. That's just part of
Yes,
it. And as we
yes.
mentioned, boardwalk, just like how they built the Garden State Parkway, right, straight
Mm-hmm.
down to Atlantic City, right?
Atlantic City, correct?
So
Yes.
New Yorkers now coming in or flying in from anywhere in the world, they land in New York, they drop their suitcase, they jump in a car, and they go straight down at Garden State into Atlantic
Yep.
City.
Yep.
So when you get there, what you could do, you have so many things to do. You could go and gamble to the in the casinos. There's the Ferris wheel. Also all sorts of activities there, right? So we have to put the infrastructure in place, and that requires some planning, right, and some vision. And the government that we're dealing with right now here has that vision, you know, to make it happen.
And as I may have mentioned before, I want to see these things embedded in our legislation so that whenever another party comes in, they have to continue these damn projects rather than leaving them as white elephants. This is something that has to be embedded in the legislation. Because unless that is done, and you look back in history, Ken and Gary and Doc, you will see that any party that wins election other than PNM only stays for 5 years. Never more than that. So let's say the UNC starts 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 projects, and God forbid something happens and they're not able to win the next election. then these become my telephones. And there's like an eyesore. And we see that how PNM does their victimization. The last time around, when they did not open the children's hospital in Couva, they left so many schools incomplete. They left the David campus incomplete, and all other things which were started. Most of the highway to Point 14 is still not done after 10 years. So you see, I don't want this to become an eyesore. An eyesore. So that's why legislation is needed to force the government or anybody coming in to the party, should that occur, that these things are not left hanging in the air as unfinished projects. There must be continuity. So that's my biggest fear for
Y-
these projects.
And you're absolutely right, Suman, because once you leave a project undone, right, for a number of years, it starts to deteriorate, right?
Hmm.
If it's not secured properly, right? Vandals will come in there and they will start to cut the cables or
Right.
steal whatever materials lying around, and then the weathering, right? If it's exposed to the
Uh,
elements, right,
yeah.
it will start to degrade, you know.
Correct.
And I mean, concrete is something, it's porous. You have leaks through your roof, your steel, weathering, and all this other stuff. That's costing the taxpayers money when you leave these projects undone, or
Right.
you make them a political pawn, if so to speak, right?
Hmm.
So the thing is, um, you're right with the legislation, and maybe should call it the white elephant legislation or bill or something to that effect,
Yeah.
right?
Whatever. Call it
Yes.
whatever you want to call it,
So
but make sure.
to ensure that there's
And
continuity, regardless
and
of
you see,
of
that
party,
is, yes, regardless of whoever is in power, and let them be
because
assessed by
right,
that
because
delivery.
yeah, because the taxpayers are the ones who are going to lose, right?
Hmm.
That is their money is being spent there, and it has to be spent right. It has to be safeguarded, protected, and the politicians should protect their investment, right, regardless of who's in power. So that's a very, very important point, Sumad, right? And I think we should have some more discussions around that, moving forward.
And
Because again, look at the Children's Hospital, use a plastic case there. State
let
of the
them
art hospital.
by Lara Cricket Academy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one.
So
That's
yeah, so
another
these
one.
things, we can't have to have these things lying around unfinished, and be caught in some kind of political circus,
You have
right?
schools
And
and
I
these
yeah, correct. And I
schools
think
that are 80 and 90% completed, but they're still left to rot for 10 years.
correct,
You know,
correct. And then you have to go and spend double the amount of money to fix it, to
right.
renovate it.
Yep.
You know, so that's a good
Renovated,
point.
right.
That's a very good, very good point. But we have
So,
a lot of work to do. Um, I saw there was some flooding. You know, yesterday, day before. Parts of the
yeah,
island
there
still
was
flooding.
a lot of rain here, a lot of rain here. And
You
in
know,
fact, the advisory only ended yesterday. The bad weather advisory finished yesterday evening. And there was a fair amount of rain over the past 2 days. But that is nothing abnormal because November is always the rainiest month of the year. So that's to be expected.
yeah. So we also need to come up with a master plan to deal with the flooding. With climate change, this is not going to slow down anytime soon. The problems are going to get worse over
So,
time.
guys, we have a missing gentleman from Charlieville here. They are asking to contact the Shogunas police station. He left to go to the health center, and nobody can locate him at this point.
Hmm.
So I'm going to bring that to everybody's attention.
Okay. We'll definitely have
Yeah,
to spread the
and
word
this
there.
is another thing from
Go
the
ahead, gentlemen. Yeah.
health perspective. Gary, remember we spoke about this already. People centered delivery systems, man. Uh, people who are age and differently abled and poor eyesight and diabetic and who are suffering from strokes and what have you. Uh, getting around in Trinidad right now is a nightmare. Well, for these people to go in hospitals and health centers and have to wait 3 and 4 hours, and then they don't have medication there, and they have to come back another day, and so on. I think we have to put a dent to some of these things because they all require some planning and delivery systems so that we know that a lot of these people are vulnerable. Either
Yeah,
when they
yeah,
go to the bank or when they go to the hospital or the health centers, as the case may be, at the grocery and so on, they are vulnerable.
yeah.
They are targets. People see these as weak, very weak targets and also high targets as well. So, I mean, we have to do something about that. I will think that, especially as far as delivery of services go to these people. So these things should not be left to hang on. And no, Dr. Ram we always spoke about this community resiliency. And if we do a survey, we'll know who are the vulnerable ones and where they live and what the complaints are, so that, if we can bring the services to these people, whether it be diabetic services or the one other health services to them, to these people in their communities or at their homes. In cases of flooding, we know exactly who we should, relocate right away. So unless we do these surveys and so on, we will not know where these people live and where they exist. So this community resiliency project is, I think, should be one of the forefront projects in the delivery of people-centered government. Yes?
Well, the election list can be utilized, and this
Yes.
is where your
Yes.
counselors and your street captains, everybody come,
Correct.
and
And I'm
and
sure.
you put things in perspective.
Yeah.
Again, community resiliency has everything to do with local government
Yeah. Can you
and its
imagine?
That's right.
efforts. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Some of these people have to go for dialysis twice and 3 times for the week and so on. Somebody has to take them, eh? So you tie up more than one person. Sometimes a family, sometimes other members of the family take turns. What happens if the person doesn't have no family in Trinidad? They all migrated and live away. You see, these are things that the community resilience group or survey should show us. And we can't just say we people centered government and yes, if you have the people suffering, you know.
So, Madhu, we have a lot of work. We have to do a
A
lot of
lot,
training.
a lot of work. Because the
We have to
systems have to
put a
put
structure in place,
yes.
right? A well vetted plan, a structure, right?
Hmm.
Build, uh, create the SOPs, right?
Yes.
And we have to hold people accountable also. That's one thing I hardly hear. You need to hold people accountable,
Uh,
right? You know, um, set goals, measure the progress, right? But I want to jump in a little video I saw, and I told a bunch of people I'll shed some light on it.
okay.
There was a video, I think I posted also, where we had two police officers trying to arrest a gentleman, a father, and his
With the
wife, and two
baby in his
kids.
hand. Yeah,
His
yeah,
wife
yeah.
is
So,
holding, or his common-law wife is holding a child in a vest and a harness, and he's holding on to one of his infant in his hand, and two police officers are wrestling with him. Now, this is not about bad cop or good cops, right? But this is about training, a lack of training, and that's how I interpreted that incident there. These police officers should have actually handled that situation way better than how they just decided to go about and scramble the guy on a big melee there. I'm
Mhm.
telling myself, what if that child was to slip out of this guy's hand and hit
Mhm.
his or her head on the pavement,
Mhm.
sidewalk there, right?
Correct.
So yeah, so it shows that there's a lot of room for training and improvement overall, right? So but we have to bring these proposals forward. We have to learn from these videos and these footages and and these incidents and these newspaper articles of horrors that at Mount Hope Hospital. I think I posted an article there, you know,
Mhm.
with the stroke victim, right?
Mhm.
I mean, the level of service, I don't want to use the term horrible there. That might be a little harsh. But if you have to
No,
rate it
no,
from
no.
A to E, I wouldn't
It's
put it. I would give it
definitely
an A,
yeah.
right?
Do unto others as you would have them do unto yourselves, right? I have
Correct.
seen across the board, Trinidad and Tobago here in the United States, the conduct of some law enforcement, handling of people, and a lack of regard, slamming people on the ground unnecessarily. We have to force our politicians to hold these people accountable. That's how we elect in a government.
And
Mhm.
and and also allocate the resources for training. Training is very, very important, right? You know, as the environment changes, we have to retool, we have to reinvest, reallocate funds, you know, but we need to identify these needs, right? Areas that are
You see, but they,
vulnerable.
they, they, they are they are allowed to continue with this kind of bad habit for a long period of time, so it became the norm and acceptable, and nobody can do them anything. It's the same at almost every agency in the government, where people are
Mhm.
allowed to get away bad behavior, insulting people, and we recently saw a situation here. I'm going to play that video now of a visitor entering a country.
Trinidad and Tobago, this could never be right. I don't know her. I met her for the first time, and this is what she said to me, what she experienced. Tell Trinidad and Tobago what you experienced just now.
Well, I just got off of the plane at Port of Spain, and I was walking towards immigration. Myself and my best friend, we're here together on vacation, and so my best friend doesn't know where we're going, and so it's a surprise. And so when we walked up to the counter, we walked up together, and the lady says, "You guys can't come together." And I says, "Well, she doesn't know her information, only I know it." She says, "You need to back up." And so I backed up, and then a guy called me over, and so I went over to his immigration window. And he starts to ask me a question, and I said, "Can you repeat that, please?" And he said it one more time. And I said, "I'm sorry, I can't understand you." He said, "Well, if you can't understand me, go sit down." And I said, I don't understand. And he said, I said, "I'm deaf, that's why I can't hear you." He said, "Well, I'm deaf too, and you don't see me having any issues or yelling." And I was like, "I'm not yelling. I may be talking loudly because I can't hear you, but I just don't understand what you said." He said, "Go sit down and calm down, and then I'll come and get you when I'm ready." And so as I was walking to go sit down, another immigration officer saw me, and she said, "What's going on? What's wrong?" She says, "Come with me." She walks me back over to him, and she's now translating for me as he's asking the questions. He says in the middle of him asking questions, he says something about that I need to be respectful to the immigration officers. And I said, "I would never be disrespectful. I absolutely am being respectful to you. Like I'm just telling you that I can't hear." And so when he was finished asking me the question and the lady translated, he was asking me where I was staying on the island, but I couldn't understand him. And so she translated. I answered the question, and then I said, "You speak about respect, but you're not being respectful to me. You're laughing at me, when I tell you that I can't hear." And he starts to laugh again, and then he tells me to sit down again. So I did not get through the immigration at this time. This has been about 10 minutes. He tells me to sit down again because I asked him to please be respectful to me in the way that he wanted me to respect him. And he said, "What did you say? Go sit down. Calm down again." like it's almost like this authority thing, and it's just like I don't understand why I would want to come back to a place like this if this is how I'm going to be treated. It was unwarranted, it was unfair, and I didn't deserve it. I literally just couldn't hear what he was saying, and he got so upset with me and made me sit down twice to calm down, but I wasn't hyped or upset. I just wanted to know what he said. And so if this is the way I'm going to be treated when I come to this country, I don't think I'll be returning back.
It's the first time you come to the
I'm
country?
very embarrassed.
It's the first time?
This is my first time here.
And I met you crying. Why you was crying?
Because I just didn't understand why I was being treated this way, right? Now, in the U.S., we experience racism and things like that, but this felt so different. It didn't feel like he was doing this because of my race. I don't know why he was doing it, but it was a reason why he was treating me the way that he was. It was embarrassing, right? My best friend had gone on. She's waiting for me. It was just very embarrassing, and I just felt like he was like power struck, if you will. He was just using his power to embarrass me and to treat me unfairly. And it wasn't fair. It was unwarranted. I didn't deserve it.
I'm sorry you experienced this, but I want to apologize to you.
Thank you.
First time you come in the country, for what you experienced through immigration. I'm sorry that you tell him that you couldn't hear properly because you have a problem in hearing.
Yes.
And he laughed at you. And I don't think our immigration officers should be laughing at people.
I don't think so either.
Okay then.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Laughing at you, insulting you, and not only visitors, those of us who from Trinidad and Tobago, and I myself personally have experienced very insulting behavior from the immigration officers, and they
Somalia.
don't wear name tags, and they need to have them wear name tags. Okay, I have had recent complaint from others too. I had a letter from someone, and we have written to immigration, about the issues. Previous government had written to the prime minister office. But it's an ongoing thing, and I think these people continue to do what they're doing because nobody's there to hold them accountable. But I want to see that change under this government, our government. Go ahead, gentlemen.
I was thinking they should start be wearing dash cams as well, not only policemen, but they as well be wearing dash cams to pull the tape at any point in time. On a serious note, Gary, check how damaging something like this can be. When you're trying to build, let's say, a tourism, and it only takes one bad experience like this, because when the tourist goes back, man, and they're going to write about this incident
But
with
it's already
vengeance,
circulating around the world in social media, so they don't have to go back to do nothing. It's already done.
with vengeance, man. With vengeance, they're going to make sure and get airlines involved, get travel agencies involved, get the visiting public involved, and so on. So you see, what that's going to do is say, you know what, the message out there is going to be, hey, don't go to Trinidad, go to another island, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Barbados, Antigua, somewhere else. But don't go to Trinidad because they treat people like crap over there. That's the message. Because of one stupid immigration officer, the whole country suffers. And that is what it's all about. Just one person. So they don't know what they're doing. All these SOPs and so on go through the window. I'm sure that the guy would have undergone some training before. And I'm sure that is not the way he was taught to treat or deal with immigration like that. They are on,
Well, Suman, it's not
alone.
just one. It's not just one person. So this is not like a once in a moment thing. We have a serious situation where there have been. I personally experienced it and had many people who complain about the immigration and custom people.
Yeah, I'm sure. But what it is, the damage that these things does for the country. I'm not talking about the individuals. The country is the one that suffers, because you are on your way trying to promote Trinidad and Tobago as a premier tourist destination. Your ministers go and make tours, fancy speeches, meet people, meet investors, all these tour operators and so on away. And here, come to Trinidad, experience this, that, and that. And you get the people so excited. And when they do come, that's the first line of activity which you as a tourist meet. Huggish, dotish, stupid immigration officer. How will you feel after you take a 9-hour trip and you're as tired and you wait till they catch another flight or to board another flight, a connecting flight? How will you feel? You see, people don't understand the dynamics of traveling at all, at all. At least who is sitting in immigration or customs and you treat people with disdain like that. You don't understand the feelings. They even had a horrible flight, or so no, like everything else. Lots of things can happen. So no empathy, no sympathy is shown to that. Just, hey, what do you don't understand? Go and sit down. That's uncalled for, man.
Also, Samant, she had a hearing impairment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And she mentioned that to the guy,
yeah,
and the
but
man,
they laugh. They laugh at you.
you can't do that. You cannot do that, right? You know,
In this
it
US, I
shows
can
a
tell
lack of
you,
training and
in the US,
disrespect.
in the US, I can tell you she has a lot of money to collect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Same
Laughing at
as the
someone's disability, man. Come on. They'll smoke your ass for that.
yeah, exactly, right? So, and you make a good point there. I mean, I lost my audio a little while there, so I couldn't really hear what you're saying in terms of the whole conversation. But that's the first impression this young lady had to face when she came to Trinidad. Probably hearing about all the steel pan and calypso and food and diversity and stuff.
Music,
And as soon as she got
yeah.
on the plane, she got to deal with a man who had a bad day, telling her to sit down like she's an animal or something, right? And she's also has a disability, you know,
Yeah.
and to be
But
treated like that.
let me take it one step further. I went through these things several times, right? I do marketing presentations and in Scandinavia. Someone's coming from Scandinavia to Tobago or Trinidad first has to come to Germany. And if not, they have to go to the UK. And after that, it's a 9-hour trip. So check, in total, maybe like 12 hours flying time and about another 4 hours in airports. So somebody comes in Trinidad or Tobago with that, having gone through all of that, 12 or 14 hours to trying to reach your destination, which you have spent money to go and try to encourage people to come. And when they come, that is their first line of contact with a Trinidadian or Tobagonian, to be told in that manner. You see, I don't know if you understand the gravity of this thing, because that one incident, it only takes one incident like that to spread like wildfire now with what social media and digital marketing is all about in them. Right where that news hits the airwaves, it's the media, and your island just suffers because of one person. That person is in the so-called value chain. You know, so these SOPs and things has to be implemented big time. Make sure people understand, they are well trained, they know how to treat, and people, especially tourists, foreigners coming over. Suppose the person may be an investor coming to invest in your country. How? And this is the respect that they are shown.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Samad, but the thing is, again, how do we hold people accountable? Is it that we should implement or install a camera in that booth there that is recording
That's
how
what
they.
I said. There's an immediate
Yeah.
put a dash cam there and let the
Yeah.
be recorded.
So she could
You
now
know?
look at the dash cam and say, "Hey, make a sign language that this man is or make a comment and say this is not I don't appreciate how you treat me." And look at it in the dash cam right there and say, "I don't like the way you treat me," right? And have the officer's badge number and name and everything and say, "Officer 8654321. I don't like how you treat me here," right? And I hope this
Yep.
goes to the authorities. But also I want to thank and commend the Minister of National Security, the MP Roger Alexander, for to taking up the matter, right, and sending out a public apology, and also investigating. He's going to investigate this situation here because we can't have this, right? We can't have this type of behavior, especially when we're trying to get tourists to come to visit the country. This woman could be a big blogger who has 10 million subscribers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yep.
Anybody could be a blogger, right? And have 5 million subscribers. And that goes out in a big network exponentially. There, people say, wait, hold on a second. This is how they treat you in Trinidad? This is how you were
Yep.
treated? Right?
Yep.
So we need to be courteous, respectful, and be appreciative of people visiting our island because we need them more than ever, right? To say good things, to indulge in food and help build the tourism sector.
Yep. Yep. That's the antidote to it is exactly what you're saying, Ken. And I always had a team like that. As soon as I hear a complaint, get your team going. But it's Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, any day of the week. Put out your PR communication and let the message goes out back into the international press, so that to kind of mitigate, the damage at source, in the shortest possible time. And
Yeah.
sometimes I used to have to encourage the hotels and so on that where that person is going to stay to come to stay or give them a half price or something like that. You're doing that for the betterment of the island.
Yeah.
Eat half of the cost now. Hey, give them say, okay, you come for a 3-day stay, well, stay a 4th day free and everything on us, 3 meals, blah blah blah, transfer back to the airport and what everything is on us for the 4th day or for the last day or something like
Yeah.
that. So you need to have systems in place to deal with issues like this. And unless you're proactive, and once that damage is already done, man, you don't know how hard it is to go out there to attract somebody to come to the island. It's a difficult job. You have to be all sharp and well presented, presented. Come here and enjoy this, enjoy that, enjoy nice steel pan music, this and that, and God forbid you're walking down in night to buy a burger or something and you get robbed right at that point. It's a PR nightmare. That's the best way I can put it. It's a PR nightmare. And if the minister got involved, I think it's the right thing to do. And let them put out a press release to that effect and so on. But take the woman cross into complaint and encourage the hotel where she's staying, or in my case, I said use that from your own budget, your marketing budget, to buffer the negative sentiments.
Right. Correct.
Oh.
So she could now reverse a negative comment with something positive in the way how we want
Yes,
to handle
you know
it.
what? I
Right?
was treated badly by the immigration, but you know what? The director himself got personally involved and ensured that my rest of my stay was very enjoyable. I also got an apology letter from the immigration department, the head of immigration, that there was an officer who was blah 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 blah, and you make an excuse for the officer, of course. He had a bad day, his wife just died or something like that, and I just buffer the whole thing because you don't want to create that image that you did the nothing. You were treated badly, you did nothing, and you suffered.
Yeah.
This is the way you deal with it.
You're absolutely correct, Sumant, right? So,
They should have an office outside the immigration there that that you could go and make a complaint or say something like that. But the officers are not. What has to change? The officers are not wearing any name tags, any badge, or anything like that. So you can't say who the person's name
so
was. Or most could give you the description of the boot
yeah.
and
So
where
I
they
could put
had.
on a shirt
In
and a
fact, they were
pants and go and
asking me in
substitute for
my
someone.
complaint
You,
to describe the name of the person. I couldn't tell the name. I just could give a description of what they look like. So that
correct.
has to change. So, I have also mentioned that many times, and we're reiterating that the officers need to wear name tags, and there has to be some kind of supervisor that you can call if there's an issue there.
The
That
dash
is
cam
correct.
in the meantime is the quickest way. It's the same way when you go up there, they take your photo. You have the dash cam as well there so that you can
Yeah,
be
well, not dash
supervised.
cam is a car. I mean, that's a security
Well,
camera, with
it has
voice
security camera
activation.
overhead
On
on
over on each booth, on each booth.
each booth. Yeah, the
And
side there when you take your photo.
yeah, and the supervisor can listen into the conversation also, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he suspects that something's going on in the argument, he can voice in and then intervene and say, "Okay, ma'am, pull her one side. How can we assist you? Okay, this person has a hearing impairment, and there's a disconnect or a lack of training to deal with situations as such, right?
And you nip it on the butt there, right
Yeah,
there,
and we
you deal
resolve
with it,
it.
right there, you
You
deal
know,
with it. And you appease the customers in some way you appease them, either when you check into the hotel, or when she checks in the hotel, you must be able to do some remedial work, to ensure that 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 what should I say, that feeling for this deaf lady, you kind of mitigate that in some way. So that the hotel
yeah,
offer a drink or two or free dinner that night. You have to do these things, man, because negative publicity takes years to remedy itself. Huh? Once you have that bad name, that that person's impression is that everybody in Trinidad is hoggish or stupid or something like that. They don't know how to treat people. When it's not, that may not be so. Just one
yeah,
person screws up the whole damn thing.
yeah,
So
exactly,
it's
exactly.
part of the service training, uh, quality of service, and a lot of departments and ministries have to get involved with these things. Exactly what you're saying. And suppose it's a blogger and a noted blogger with 20 million following.
That
Huh?
that will
What is
spread like
it?
wildfire all over the globe, right?
Yep. So all you have spending millions of dollars in tourism and tourism marketing and trade and investment marketing, and
Yeah.
here's it all gone through the chute.
And look at the flip side of that. What if she had a good experience and she had 20 million subscribers and she go and start typing, "Hey, I'm a trainer here, I'm enjoying myself, great people, warm welcome, the food is excellent, it's safe, secure, and I'm encouraging all of you, my supporters, to come down and visit Trinidad and Tobago," right? That's what we need. That's what we
Yep,
need to promote also.
correct,
Tourism, promoting tourism is different from 20, 30 years ago. Now with social media, everything is online.
man.
You go to YouTube, you see, look at people's video when they're eating some kind of type of street food in Thailand somewhere, and people get excited. Hey, you know what? I want to visit this place. I want
Yep.
to check this place
Li-
out.
Listen, man. In 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, tourists used to come from the UK, come and take the boat from Tobago to come to eat the doubles. Do you know
Imagine
that?
that.
Yeah, they only here because we promote doubles as a East Indian traditional street food. They want to come. They want to come to see where Davy
Well,
is. They come from
yeah, yeah,
Tobago, from Norway or Sweden or Denmark or UK or Holland, and coming down to see the street food concept because that's what they saw on YouTube.
yeah,
That's what they
yeah.
saw on social
And and
media.
and, and so what? Since you mentioned the word doubles, I think that should be on the national dish. You know,
I
because look,
I
we have
think,
this
but
guy from the US, the captain,
yeah, who
right?
came yesterday?
He was told to make sure to have a doubles. I'm
But
sure he enjoyed it a lot.
yeah, but when you hear one prime minister say, so what's so special about doubles? You won't criticize you on your own. So how can we proceed in that case? Remember, we always say, what's so special about doubles?
That's just one man's opinion, right?
Yeah, but for a prime minister, to say some bullshit like that.
Right. And again, I would go with what the greater population. We have people who are Hispanic, black, white, yeah, brown, making and selling doubles.
Hmm.
We have the Hispanic. I was surprised to see the Hispanic population how they embrace doubles. There's a woman in
What?
Venezuela, somewhere in
What?
Venezuela, I saw
Yeah.
making doubles and selling doubles in Venezuela.
Yep. Because they have Hispanic taste is spicy, hot, spicy. Is their line
Correct.
of food. All these arepas and things that they sell, the quesadilla, what have you, has a lot of cumin and cilantro and all this thing. It's heavily seasoned with garlic, just as we do.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
as we do our food here. They like heavily seasoned foods. So this will jive nicely with them.
Correct.
All the,
Dr.
Correct.
Ramos, what are you doing there, Doc? Doc, you there? Okay. Go
it's
ahead,
good.
guys.
Doc, are you sleeping now? It's only 9 o'clock. 9:30 here.
9,
36.
8:36 here.
Yeah. Okay, right. Yeah. So
But yeah, so man, we have to promote the island. We have to build on what we have. We're not going to reinvent the wheel, right? And if we pull and tug, we're not going to get anywhere. I think, we are a unique people, very diverse, different, multiracial, multicultural, right? And our strength lies in our diversity,
that
you
is the
know,
point.
and
Now you're
and we should
talking.
use that as our advantage to market and you know what? All of that I just mentioned in a beautiful little Caribbean island with lots of sunshine and beautiful beaches. What more do we want to take this country forward and to make it a tourist heaven in the Caribbean, right? We have all the Latin American people who could come down here, tourists could visit, all
Yep.
different North American, European, uh, you know. So the potential is huge, but we
Yep.
have to put a good, proper plan in place. We have to get serious. We have to clean up the island. All this garbage floating around. And I want to come back to this video that Gary posted there with um, one of these
Garbage.
countries,
Oh.
with a big garbage patch
Mm.
floating around there, and there's a lot of plastic waste coming ashore. People have to spend,
Microplastics. Yeah.
yeah, and people have to spend thousands of man hours to clean up the beaches, right? So we need to control the plastic waste. We need to clean up the beaches. When you go in the beach today, you go to Maracas, people drinking beer bottles, and they throw it all over the place there. Food containers, and all this other stuff. We need to clean that up, and have it like a Miami Beach, right? Where there's garbage cans, there's restrooms, there's lifeguards and stuff positioned strategically. If there's an emergency, a medical emergency, we can handle it, right? But when tourists come to your country, they also want to ensure that there's some level of safety there, right?
That
What
is
if
it.
what if a,
Correct.
what if a tourist walking in the beach there in Maracas and they get caught with a broken beer bottle, right? And an artery is severed, right? By the time you get to Port of Spain General Hospital, they could bleed to death. You know,
Yeah.
there are no lifeguard boots no lifeguard station. Those little boots that they used to have there. I went
Yeah.
there
The
last time and all I saw was the foundation. So I was talking
lifeguard
to a
huts.
lifeguard and I said, "Hey, what's the story here? What's going on here?" He said, right now the staff of resources and the government said the last government promised that they're going to bring some boots or some wooden boots from Guyana because it's made out of teak or Purple Heart or something like that.
Yeah. Purple
And they
heart.
ordered them,
Purple heart.
and they ordered
Yeah.
them, and it still hasn't reached, right? All they have the foundation there. These guys have to sit in a little gazebo by the fishing village there when it's raining.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, we need to invest. We need to reallocate resources in the right areas where where it's a high impact, right? And if you want to, if you're serious about building our tourism sector, right, we have to start to work on cleaning up ourselves and preparing the island for these visitors. We don't want when someone comes off a cruise ship, somebody just grab their gold chain in the Brian Lara Promenade there, right? Like what happened a couple months ago with this lady and her husband and a friend. They just came off a cruise ship and they're walking down somewhere in one of these streets, Frederick Street or something, and a guy just grabbed her gold chain and started running, right? Think about that traumatic experience. So we don't want to have this type of stuff. We got to deal with crime. We got to deal with flooding. We got to deal with pollution, you know, and also the people's attitude has to change also.
Yes, you're quite right. And it's how do you change these things, social norms, cultures, and
Hold
people
people
behavior,
accountable. Hold them accountable,
and
right? Measure the
punishable,
progress, right?
punishable.
Yeah. So far,
Pun-
we've been doing very good. I mean, the government just came in a couple months now, and look at the crime rate. It's 330, according to the Guardian or the Express. 330 homicides, right? A dramatic reduction from last year. Last
Yeah,
year,
40
same
40%.
time, we were already at 500 plus, encroaching on 600, right?
Hmm.
So the government is working. The proof is in the numbers, right? So
Right.
yes, but I still think we got a lot of work to do with the home invasions. We're getting this stand your ground bill, right? I think that's going to be a big plus. We need to arm the nation, the law abiding, productive members of society, so they can protect themselves, right? Um, and also work together to build. Um, so yes, Ahmad,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
you got
listening.
Duck is back on.
I don't think so. Gary?
I don't know. He's here, but he's not saying anything. I don't know if he fall asleep or he's in a meeting or something.
You probably
But go
got
ahead. I'm trying to load that video with the plastics. But what was mind boggling is the PNM came and spin all kind of I don't know how to describe it, but in the parliament,
Gary.
even dragging race into it, acting like
Yes.
it there is like I know we have some very racist situation here in the United States, but I mean most of us are of the same complexion, color, and race in the country, and it is all people in the country who has been attacked. And as Minister Sturge quoted in his poor squatting area up in his constituency there, the poor people was getting invaded by home invasion, criminals breaking into their homes. So it's not like one category of people, and to come in the parliament and spin this nonsense about race and discrimination because of the stand your ground law was totally horrendous.
Exactly, exactly. You know,
Man.
and some people should look at a different career or something, versus they're trying to get into politics to bring an insight.
Shameless. What did they do
Yeah.
within the last 10 years? What did they do
Well,
within the
here's what it
last
did.
10 years? The
Here's what it did,
police,
Gary.
the police fell into disrepute because the police have enough officers that were involved. The police service was poorly managed. They did anything in all the Galavan. They make up installing their commissioner. They more cover up. They rush to cover up a situation and trying instead of dealing with it. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, what the last government did, and I like to always shed some light on this. 614 murders in 2022. Correct me if I'm wrong with that number. Yeah, it could be 605, 614, somewhere around there. That was a astronomical
Record.
record.
Record. Yeah.
Since we get independence, we never saw that those type of numbers. Only to be broken, to be shattered 2 years after, in 2024 last year, we got 624 homicides, right? And that was the nail in the coffin of the PNM. They would have run this country down to the ground,
Well, the criminals have free reign. They know they can get away with it like everything else. They can
Sumant made a
have a
good
clean
point.
getaway because we was not doing the sufficient patrolling. I don't know how much has improved
But
as yet,
but
but with all the U.S. military assets within our vicinity there, I am waiting to get a good feedback on how much cross-border trafficking of drugs and human trafficking has taken place within those few weeks.
absolutely, absolutely, because the borders were left open, a free open border, right?
Yeah,
People could move in and out.
let me see all they bring all their thing now. I want to know how much crossing the
Yeah.
border.
You know, and Sumant, you made a good point. I just want to recap what Sumant mentioned there. Under the PNM government, crime seems to flourish. And he mentioned that he has data to support that, right?
Well,
And
the
whether
majority
the
of the
data is
criminals
there or
comes
not,
out of which constituents. Every time you see an incident, they're coming from the PNM constituency. I'm not saying that we don't have criminals in other constituency, but majority of these criminals, though are roaming around the countries into other constituency, comes from PNM led constituencies. So you understand why they're acting like that. No,
Yes,
they
so
don't
they
have a
were,
problem with the criminals gallivanting and heavy machine gun around the country and posting it, bold enough to post it on social media and threaten the police and all these things. They didn't have a problem with that, but they worried about a person getting a pistol license to defend themselves.
and you know something just crossed my mind. Remember this blogger, the Christmas list guy, when he went up in the hill there, and he exposed everything, right, through his videos.
I'm not too sure. Saw
There was
that
a
one.
blogger from Canada, a guy named Christmas List. He
Okay.
came to Trinidad and he went and he made a lot of videos and stuff there.
Okay.
And
Recently,
the government had him arrested, thrown in jail and stuff for some kind of
For interviewing the
draconian
criminals.
law.
For interviewing the criminals.
Yes, correct. Right? And some sort of draconian law. They were able to concoct something and charge the man, right? For just
See,
wandering off the
let me see.
streets,
I
just
think I was
wandering the
able to
streets.
load.
In the movies, you could see how the tsunamis works, right? But instead of water was glass.
Here's the video now. One of the videos, Ken.
In
Go
the
ahead.
movies, you could see how the tsunamis works, right? But instead of water was plastic. We are standing in front of Interceptor Barricade 006 here in Guatemala. I'm part of the ocean cleanup crew. What we are doing now is cleaning the river Las Vacas from what we received yesterday in a plastic trash tsunami. We received this from Guatemala City when the rain comes from the streets and from illegal dump sites. But it's a global issue that we need to resolve. We can see a lot of single-use plastic. PET bottles, medical bottles, hard plastics like detergent. This is like a normal day here in Las Vacas. But sometimes it seems like it's even worse. We've been extracted around 800 tons of trash in one single round. It's a lot. It's a lot. But at the same time, when I see your barricades, I feel like a little hope. We extract the trash from the river. We put it into trucks. After storage, we start the classification. We are looking for people who can transform this trash into new materials. For example, in 2023, we transformed this trash into vinyl records with Coldplay.
You made these vinyls from recycled plastic bottles.
Yeah, we did. Our mission is so important because if we are not catching this trash here, all this plastic eventually will reach in the beaches, the ocean, and affect all the life. Fishermen say that fish are eating plastic. So eventually, if they eat those fishes, they are eating the plastic as well. This is not happening just in one single country. We are globally attending this issue with deployments in Asia, United States, Jamaica, Panama City, and even in the ocean. If we can calculate one single person how much plastic we use in the lifetime, I mean, it's insane. Most insane is to think the time that these plastic bottles will take to disintegrate completely as the ocean cleanups. We know that we are just a part of the solution because this have to end. Important things that need to change is that the authorities involved more in the environmental issues. Treaties have been developed, but there are some which not are committed with the cost. They have to know what we are dealing with. To the private companies, why won't you invest in saving our environment and in all of the parts of the the life cycle of one product. Putting down the plastic is the final solution because the production of plastic increasing, this is the result. The involvement of the citizens is key. Every time that I have the opportunity to talk about what is happening here, the people is like, oh, I didn't know. The important thing is not to show indifference. What is happening here or around the world is a problem of everyone.
Yeah, that's a problem too. All over the world, exactly what the guy said.
And
you
some of it
know,
was brought in by the ocean, because it was dumped from other places and come into the, you know.
yeah, but
So
you
it's a
just
mixture of things.
honestly, you just make things understand everybody around you. And when it is everything is connected.
Suman, check your mic. Your mic. Something went wrong with your mic. I'm getting an echo from your mic.
You want to
Much better. Much better. Much better there. Much better there.
I say, just have to look at Poland, Spain. Every time you eat river floods up there, whenever there's rain in the hills, you see all the tons of bottles and so on comes down empties itself and salty. What he's saying, the guy just now is saying it's nothing new. It happens all over the world, but more so in the developing world, especially when you market yourself as a nice new uh, destination for trade and investment and tourism and so on, and you see this kind of crap. What is your impression? What is the impression of you as a tourist or as an investor? You know.
You know, Samad, you're absolutely correct. But from the video, what the guy mentioned there with the degradation of that plastic, mechanical and photo degradation, breaking it up into this microplastics, right?
Hmm.
And getting the food
Correct.
chain.
Yeah.
The marine life
Hmm.
is ingesting this plastic, and then we, by extension, we go there with fish, right? We eat the fish. So that plastic bottle that you see in floating around the ocean there, tell yourself that be your meal one day. You're eating that plastic and you're poisoning yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't want to put it this harsh and this graphic to people, but that is exactly what's happening, right? So we are poisoning ourselves by polluting, and and we have to do something with these
Well,
plastic bottles.
we not the matter of plastic. We have a lot of infrastructure to put in place far as garbage collection. We have to work and put in recycling laws and things in place to recycle so that you could separate the plastic, from the regular garbage and the cans, and that way you can recycle and reprocess them. There's an opportunity to reprocess the plastic bottles where you could turn it back into those pellets and you make other products with it. So you reprocess it, and then you melt it over and you make something with it. But it's reusable, and it's an economic opportunity. We don't have to send it to India or any country. We should be looking into doing that within Trinidad and Tobago. Um, you need the sufficient amount of sanitation equipment around, and the dumping sites where people don't dump garbage in the wrong place, because we never provided sufficient and appropriate dumping and pickup. Garbage pickup was pure hell, and the PNM doesn't want to come on Galavant and boast, but they rule the country with the majority of our independence, and they have not put any proper infrastructure in place that waste place, the Labas there, in the Bitam is a total health hazard because of how things have been handled. So, and then we have people living there, and endangering them, but there's nothing to protect them. And then you have people representing the PNM come in, again to talk crap, while knowing the fact that the people that lives in their constituents, their live is in danger by their health, and it's not a healthy place for them to be in. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Ken.
that landfill should be decommissioned. Um, and you're absolutely correct, Gary. That is a health hazard to have a residential community downwind when there's a fire in that dump or that landfill. Correct me if I'm wrong. About a year, 2 years ago, there's a major fire broke out there, and people downwind in Port of Spain had to evacuate. Right now, the
I mean, those
leachate.
people who has gotten raw sewage dumped on them in their kitchen, and I mean, I've seen those videos.
Yeah.
I mean, from the garbage pollution to raw sewage, you name it, has been dumped on those people.
Then what's leaching into the groundwater is also very toxic and hazardous, and that has to be addressed. That I want to believe that um, landfill don't have a proper liner, a clear liner, or any kind of liner to prevent that toxic waste from leaching into the groundwater. And it's going to take a lot to clean it up. We're going to have to excavate observation wells to pump back that water, right, and to treat the waste properly, to burn it off and stuff. But yeah, but nobody seems to want to care about this thing. We need
I mean,
to.
the Department of Environment, the Environmental Protection, needs some work in themselves. But again, I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure is needed there.
Yeah.
To put things in place for garbage collection, and yes, we have to really promote recycling if we really want to get anywhere.
Promote recycling. We also look at Gary. Look for example, the US here. We have two bins, one for your regular organic garbage waste, and one for cardboard and recyclable plastics, right?
Plastics, right?
And you would put your cardboard a certain grade, right? Cut it up and pack it inside there, and that's a blue garbage receptacle. And there's
And
two
we
trucks
get-
that pass. One to pick up that bin, and there's another truck that passes at a later time that picks up the regular garbage, right?
yeah.
And one goes to the landfill to sort and goes to the landfill, and the other goes to a recycling plant. So maybe we need
Yeah.
to start a pilot project like that, where through local government, where we have the bins in place, install it, put them in a different, some communities around Trinidad, and then start to assess and measure the amount of garbage we're picking up, how much we're exporting to recycle, how much we're recycling, right? And I think that's the way to go. It'll make it much easier to pick up recycle material, right? Um, but again, we have to have a structure in place. Now, a lot of the I did a project in Bamboo number 3 there. There was a problem with garbage, right? It was creating a constriction close to a lift pump, and it was part responsible for a flooding problem there. And I developed a custom trash rack. I'll probably send some pictures later on. And what I discovered was in Bamboo number 3 there's a lot of food vendors, and they're all doing a great job, very clean and so forth. They dispose of their garbage in garbage bags, and they would put them along there's a certain specific area where they pack all the garbage bags there. Now, if the garbage truck misses or don't pick up that garbage, in a certain time, a certain date,
I'm
what
just checking.
happens?
We have a dump in Claxton Bay too, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Clarkson Bay, what's the name of that dump? Landfill,
I, okay.
Macaulay something? Macaulay?
Okay, it sounds familiar. Yeah. Let's remember we
Yeah.
had one over
Yeah.
there too. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
But Gary, these landfills has to be designed properly, right? With a proper clear liner and an area where you could collect all that leach material and recycle it. Now that's very, very toxic. And you don't want to get it into your groundwater, right? Because once that plume starts to spread and move around, it
You see,
is a nightmare.
a lot of people don't understand how serious this is.
It's very serious. It's very serious. And the EMA, I think we need to have discussions with the EMA to seriously consider decommissioning that landfill in Port of Spain, cap it, and then also we have to put some kind of a sheet piling curtain wall around there, right? Install wells, observation wells to take samples of the groundwater, right? And then we have to pump back the plume to pull it back and contain it. And then that leachate, that water that's coming out of there, that's contaminated, that has to be burnt off, right? In a kill. So there's a lot, but we don't see these things happening. And again, people don't even know that they're digesting plastic, or they're living in a place where that's polluted, where there's fumes, toxic fumes, right? Then we ask ourselves, how come the rate of cancer is so high all over? Everybody you know, your friend you know, somebody has cancer, right? So we need to fix these things, and the EMA also has to be on board, right? Along with other agencies, right? Where we could try to recycle more, versus having stuff going to the landfill, occupying precious space there.
I won't be surprised that the previous government put so much restraint on the EMA that they never really got to do what they were supposed to be doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
They were given a
I
free hand, Gary. EMA, like the IMA, like these bodies, these statutory bodies, they broke all the laws to start with, to facilitate whatever the PNM wanted to get done.
So I see we have Joyce and Adira in our audience there. Peter is there, also in our audience. Go ahead, guys.
Gary, right now I'm dealing with a problem with a client, sorry. And there's a concrete plant in a residential area. And I met the client, and they said, Ken, we said, look, hey, let's do the right thing here and move this concrete plant out of this residential community. And they agreed with me, and they purchased a piece of land, right, where they want to reallocate, because it's creating a impact, an environmental impact, and a health impact to the members of the community. Because that silica dust and stuff is, it's very harmful to your health and your lungs. And so I will have to go down to the EMA to have a discussion with them to put together the CEC, the Certificate of Environmental Clearance, and we're going to move that plant out into an area where there's the least minimal impact. And but yeah, I think the EMA has to be on board, right? When it comes to people who wants to clean up the environment, who wants to do the right thing, and they shouldn't be political, right?
I mean, soil testing, water testing, a lot of these things has to be done. Air testing, a lot of this has to be done and documented and maintained, Even our beaches and river where we use for recreational usage, how often is the river tested for bacteria, I mean, these things need to be done more frequently. I mean, Kawa River and all the various places that people go to bathe, how often is this tested for bacteria? We're seeing here in the US, you have flesh-eating disease. I mean, all these different things and all the floods and stuff like that,
Yep. Again, the environmental laws are so lapsed in this part of the world that we just take everything for granted. Hey, no problem, man. We can go. Everything is honky-dory when, the sort of Lyman mentality we have, nothing is being taken seriously. Or, upriver, downriver, what have you, we'll bathe in it. There's no concern. And that stems from a lack of education of the public, community education. That people just don't know. Some do and don't care, and some just don't know. So we in a highly ignorant society. We live in a highly ignorant society coming to these environmental laws. Yes, Dr. Ramup, are you there? Look like he gonna leave. Yes, anything else, guys? Hello?
What happened there? Suman dropped out?
No, you probably there's a problem with the audio. I'm getting a little problem with the audio also. You can hear me, Gary?
Yeah, I'm hearing you good now.
It's probably logging in to come
Oh,
back
you're
in.
coming back in. Okay, coming back in.
So yeah, we were talking about the microplastics
Mhm.
and stuff. But people are burning tires all over the country. Anywhere you turn and twist, there are people burning piles and piles of tires. And you tell me we can't take control of these things, right? Right in Central, behind the Holiday Foods in the back there, they burn piles and piles of tires there every week,
What is
right?
it? A
Why
dumping
can't
ground or something? Is it a dumping
they
ground?
just these people with the tire shop, they just pass there and they just dump all tires.
So that's
And
the
what they
tire
will
shop
do,
doing this. So, well, this is something that will be have to be enforced by the municipal corporation, and this is something we could raise with them. Um,
right? And also we could take those tires and recycle them and make those little rubber mats or rubber
But
tiles.
that's another opportunity. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to send things to India. What we should be looking at is investing in
Correct.
Trinidad and Tobago, encouraging people, providing them with whatever necessary information they may need to go into that kind of business. Because this is a business opportunity again, another economic opportunity where you
Big
That
are
is
time.
you're
correct.
you're dealing with the environmental issues and you
Creating
provided.
employment.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
People need to get
So yeah,
creative because tires, I see the most important thing in a tire is the walls. And the
Well,
walls has,
in this scrap metal business, and instead of
oh,
gathering it to ship it overseas, we need to find a way where we can melt the thing and you reuse it.
but tires is multi-purpose, Gary. The steel from tires alone, from the casing, that's the most valuable asset. And nothing in a tire is being thrown out. All the rubber and so on is crushed and used back towards making roads and what have you. There's nothing in tires that wasted. And it requires a serious entrepreneur to just clean the place up with tires. I mean, I saw they dump a lot in the ocean, the edge of the ocean, by the creek there, Mosquito Creek, and it helped prevent the water, over time, sand fills up, acts like a breakwater. So,
yeah.
but,
It could be
you
used to
know,
prevent
it's,
soil erosion,
it's flooding, yes, erosion, and some parts of
slope
the world, they
stability,
use it to create
riverbanks.
artificial reefs. because plants, fishes, and so on lay their eggs in these little crevices, and what have you. So that is a big industry by itself. I spoke to someone, I think about 2 months ago. They were very interested in doing that tire recycling of tires, and he was telling me the most valuable thing in the tire is the walls of the tire, which is the sides, which has steel embedded in it, and that can be extracted. It's high quality, and the rest of the material can be pulverized and used as for patching roads and building roads and driveways and what have you.
Correct, correct.
So again, nothing is wasted.
Hmm. But we have to come up with a structure and a system in place, and I think local government. That's where local government comes in, right? Where we could have certain site designated where these tire shops can drop off their used tires, right?
Hmm.
Or the ones that they have as as well, stockpiles to be discarded, right? They can either drop them off, or the municipality can have some kind of transportation system to move around and collect these tires and take them to recycling plants. Than just having
Man,
them dumped
yeah,
and burnt all over
yeah,
the place.
yeah, yeah. The
Now,
same
when you dump
goes.
these tires, also they could create a health problem with mosquitoes and stuff. Eh?
Yep, yep, yep,
Municipal government has a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
Correct, correct. But they have to be
yeah.
guided, Gary. They have to be guided,
Well,
right?
that's why we're here. We're going to make the recommendations. I give you some contact to also reach out. So
Oh,
let's give
definitely,
it.
definitely. I will. We'll reach out.
We will
And
advise in the interest of our country and people.
that is
Gary,
correct.
well,
That is correct.
if you guys have seen, but coconut shells, these coconut vendors who dump their shells, that is a tremendous asset, which is processed and built into like yarns or fiber, which
You
is
can make furniture,
used
right?
as an underlay, no underlay for road construction, like you
Okay.
gravel and so on, because it soaks up moisture.
Well, you can't weave it like how they're making furniture out of
Correct,
those.
correct. It's woven like in big mats, like 12 feet wide and various lengths. So they join 12 feet and make it
But
24 feet.
we have to provide a structure and an infrastructure and information of these things, because I mean there was nothing in place for the people. So
Right.
we have to guide and provide the facilities.
And since these things fall under, let's say, quote unquote, environmental, like the waste from coconut, green coconut, dry coconut, whatever coconuts you have, tires and so on, they're all environmental issues, right? Because people dump these things, right? And we have to create a concept. I don't know if you know this guy called Wayne Heisinger. He's the guy who pioneered trash to cash. From your trash, he built an empire on just picking up garbage. First from the city, then the country, then the state of Florida. You have Wayne Heisinger. He built, Wayne Heisinger School of Business at Nova University. He owns a couple of these baseball clubs, couple stadiums he owns, PS 66, high-end hotels. He's the owner of these things, and he built his empire on trash is cash. Started with collecting trash, and we need pioneers like these to start operating. The government had to really play serious hand in these environmentally related industries. Things that are sources of pollution, but which can turn into cash. And once people become aware of that, it can be productive for all of us. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And we have a cleaner island, right, to
Yeah.
market,
It's
right?
win for everybody. Government has to provide the enabling environment so persons who want to get into this type of business should be have ease of access to do it. Not the red tape, that accompanies anything to set up business in this part of the world. No.
Consumer, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the government charges you some kind of extra tax on if you're importing a tire, or if you're shipping a
Yes,
tire?
yeah, even in the US had a tax disposal, like anything related to cars,
So,
batteries and tires and what have you,
so
oil.
why don't they come up with a plan where they will repurchase a used tire or tire that's earmarked for to be discarded for like $1, right? For anyone who brings a tire,
Hmm.
you know.
Or you
I
can
sure you will see people
even,
bringing loads of tires to a
or
recycling plant here.
you have the regional corporate parts and pick it collect it at the place of business. You
Plus
know,
discarded tires,
yeah,
anywhere in the environment. People pick it up if they see because that's money right there. If they say, if you tell them that, hey, I'll give you $5 for a tire, right? If you could bring it in like a renewable one of those soda cans, you crush it and you
yep,
get 5 cents, right?
yes.
You take it to
So
the
you
municipality
see,
and
the
they give you a check for it.
it's an education process, but government has to take initiative.
Correct,
And
correct.
they will, everybody benefits, society benefits, the government benefits, in
The
that they don't
environment,
have to pay people to go and clean and pick up all the tires down the road or on the side of the street or the side of the mangrove and all those things. So their work becomes easier. We benefit from a cleaner environment. Somebody makes money out of it, and it's win-win for everybody else. But then again, you see, these things have to be driven from the top. It has to be driven from the top so that EME and IME and industry and trade and investment and so on, these people have to get their act together and see first beneficiary of all economic activity should be for the citizens of the island. They should be the first beneficiary. Then anybody thereafter. So by having a nice, clean environment, by having entrepreneurs, we can make the island much healthier and safer and cleaner for all of us to enjoy. But somebody has to drive the process, and normally in cases like this, is that the government needs to be prime driver, the prime driver
correct,
to initiate
correct.
these, because they win as well. Less dump means less garbage they have to collect. You know,
Well,
not
it's
Yeah,
not about that less garbage. You have to collect is less garbage in the wrong place.
yeah, but
Because
you know it,
you still have to collect the garbage. But what I'm
yeah,
saying to you,
yes, but Gary, it all ends up in the waterways. You know that all the tires with the rivers, the
yeah. But
side
I'm just
streets.
saying less garbage in the wrong place. So I mean, but then the garbage is controlled. It's recyclable. How you manage it, and it's safer for everybody.
The
But
win-win.
But
Everybody benefits.
before we enforce anything, we have to put the infrastructure in place to service the issue of collecting garbage, recycling garbage, and you just can't enforce and you didn't provide any
That's right.
proper facilities and proper garbage pickup. It has to be everything has to be functional. And
Mhm.
you give directives and educate. Everything has to work together. But it will take a little time because, like, the destructiveness that the PNM has created in the country, I mean, we have so many things to fix. So it's going to take a little time, but yes, we do have to keep with the information, bringing the information, making it suggestion, and showing how it works for everybody.
absolutely.
And
And
that's why the
also,
channel is here. I mean,
yeah,
the media in Trinidad would not give us the time of the day, but we have our own media here.
And Gary, also, we created employment also in the process.
Hmm.
Yep.
It's a win-win-win situation for everybody. Government wins, people wins.
And that
I
is the
mean,
direction.
yep, that is how we start.
That is the direction, right?
Exactly.
The work for a better, cleaner, safer Trinidad and Tobago, that
Yep.
everyone can enjoy it.
Everything has to work, collectively, in the sense of the information, the education, the enforcement. Police officers on patrol should have the responsibility to document what they observe. Not just drive through and don't make notification. You see a pothole that can cause somebody to have an accident, you make a note in the activity report, and that goes to the station, and the station responsibility is for it to go to the various ministries. Anything that's there for environmental concern, you have to be observed. You have to observe and report on your tour. You just can't drive around and like with your eye, with your eye in the sky. You have to watch what's going on around you, and you should document it. When we in the security business doing a tour, we document what we observe. That something is an issue, you report it to the maintenance department. So in the same way, the police officers doing a patrol should indicate in their daily report, in their activity report, at a so and so location they observe certain things, and then the various ministries it should be forwarded to the various ministries by the senior officer there. So all of these things has to work in, the enforcement has to work together with, the other various ministries.
Listen, every taxi driver knows where all the big holes and potholes and landslides are in the country.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about a police officer doing a patrol. It should be his
So
responsibility
it
to,
has
no,
to be
no,
done collectively, Gary. Not only
yeah,
policemen, but teachers and drivers and people who use the roadway. I'm sure the politicians
but
themselves
there's a
know.
structure in place to receive the report, Suman.
Yes,
What structure is in place to receive the report from the taxi driver right now? What I'm
there's
saying to you,
nothing.
the police
There,
officer on patrol should indicate what these things. You shouldn't just patrol and not say nothing. On the taxi driver, there should be a different structure for that, for reporting. It goes to the municipal corporation or something. But I'm just saying, on a tour of duty, an officer should indicate certain things. So everybody has to work in collaboration.
so you know what the attitude is? Hey, that is not my job. I,
Well, that has to
are you
change. We
supposed to?
we have to.
This is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This has to change. The whole system of being nationalistic in this country, boy. It has to change. They can't say this. This is not my responsibility. Who has to see about that? Let them see about that. That
You
is
drive in and you
the
see a high
council.
tension wire hanging somewhere that could
Correct.
be of issue. You report it, and
Yes. But these reporting mechanisms should be in place. They have to be in place because it just can't be like that because the whole damn country will go into decay and nobody does nothing about it. Even though you know that certain people transgress the roadway from time to time, including councillors and mayors and representatives, they pass every day, They know. They know. I drove 2 days ago, I was driving not too far from my media, and the mayor passes there. The councillor for the area lives right about 2 blocks from where there's a massive degradation of the road there. All holes, and you have to literally stop on one lane to let the next guy pass. And it's near school to boot, next, kind of like the end of the school, the length of the school. How can we have these things? How many students, how many teachers, how many taxi drivers, how many private? But where's the mechanism to report these things?
That's where we
And
need
that
a
is,
structure in place,
yeah, the
a
structure, that
well-working
is what
structure.
I keep on saying all our systems are broken. And unless we
Correct.
fix these systems, and once the fixed system is fixed, the legislation is there to back it up. Like, they say, if you go into somebody's house and you damage the whole front end of your vehicle is damaged, who pays for that? Your bust a tire, your left front arm, your tire fly out, left front arm is damaged. Again, who pays for all these things?
Just remember, we're
Nobody.
coming out of a who dead in form of governance. So it's going to take us a while to fix all that because
Correct.
Mhm.
who
10 years
dead
of neglect.
was the present system in place. So now, it's a different thing that's in place, and we're only about 6 months in government. So definitely we do have a lot to fix. But yes, we will make the recommendation here.
Now, the
Definitely.
little
Definitely.
things. Start by fixing the little things first. You know,
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about the community aspect of things. We spoke about the service, the quality of service, the standard operating procedures, I would like to say the trash, the water system, the trash system. There are so many things that people who work there, but you begin to ask who is responsible and why are people not being held accountable for these things? I'm asking that question. Why are people who getting paid working in an organization are not doing their job? No, who is responsible
Some people were getting
for it?
paid to look the other way. Some people were getting paid not to be on the job. Remember that
That is correct.
we
Definitely.
just came out with some
Mm.
discovery of some people highly paid and not on the job at all. That's on the
Yes,
payroll.
Yeah. Yep.
you go in university. They go in university and only the university in a different island, a different location, and being paid. Yeah. So, and they got away with all these things. People have gotten away with these things, and yet they remain living, enjoying the nice life, and nothing is being done.
Because long as I good, who dead?
So these things have to be fixed first before you can put structure. Make people accountable, make people punishable, and so on. Like, it has always been my philosophy. Whenever the guy who is asked to be, or someone who's supposed to uphold the law, when they are caught in a criminal activity, their sentence should be twice as much as the regular citizen. And all things, pensions and gratuity should be stopped. They should never get anything like that. Because is that you are the one in charge and you are the one breaking the law. So your punishment should be twice as much as the average person. And by the time we start to do these things, that is a way of making people responsible. Hey, you know what? I have 28 years service. I have 5 more years to go again. I ain't going to do nothing stupid, no man. I ain't going to break no law because they catch me breaking the law. I lose all my 28 years of service. That must be in their mind.
We had some flooding issues recently in Trinidad, right? I did not get one video or photo posted in our disaster group giving us a little update, on it from any of the counselors or ministers or anything. The only thing I saw on Facebook was Khadijah's
Yeah,
video that
yeah,
I shared.
yes, that's right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. You're
if
right, Gary.
if any of our citizens listening, we would like to get footage of what's taking place in your constituency, and let us know what's going on. So definitely going forward, we want to be able to hear from you on what's taking place in the various parts of the country.
see how one could do to help solve it.
Yeah, I mean, what does it take? I mean, we have the channel running here trying to, promote and information education, but also, some feedback would do, would help us.
Definitely,
I had
definitely.
one lady reach out to me from Sani Grande, and she's facing that same situation over and over again, trying to get some action down there.
Oh,
But
yes, I remember that.
As this person with the pink wall or something, there's a pink wall in the
No,
background.
yeah, by the cemetery,
The cemetery, yeah.
cemetery water flooding into
Yeah,
a place
they need
there.
some proper drainage there.
Yeah, but I don't understand why it's taking forever to get her some. What does it take for a backhoe to go out there and scrape the ground a little bit on the other side, to pull the water away from the wall, and then you eventually will deal with the draining issues. But I mean, taking a backhoe and just kind of, trying to devote the water, but I find that people have to
Yeah,
be
but
going on in circles to get help, and we need to
yeah,
put an end to that nonsense.
I think one of the big drawbacks they face, Gary, and we got to give it to the UNCM, because remember when they came into government, most of the monies allocated for the
No,
fiscal,
I understand that, but at the
that
same
was
time,
already spent out. In other words, by April of this year, all the monies up to end of September was already spent out.
for nothing to show,
And nothing to show. This is the point. So the government was literally financing themselves on blank dollars. There was no budget in place. Nothing. They didn't know what the situation.
Yes, Suman, but the
budgets,
Borough Corporation should have access currently, before they get additional
no,
rate,
but
should have access to a backhoe. Don't tell me they don't have a backhoe in the Borough Corporation.
correct. They have backhoes and so on. Remember, Khadija was able to pull together a lot of the corporations and other ministries to get backhoes and so on for the initial flooding, which they dealt with so nicely in the beginning. But what I'm saying is that going forward from now on, from next, let's say from January, starting this island has to get cracking in January to make sure they do have no
By
flooding
that
or
time, the money that was allocated, the budget will be reaching the various ministries.
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah, that's correct. Because now it's very quarterly, so but for the flooding issue, they have to start dealing with this from January.
Yeah, they give them
Widening
a
and
chance.
cleaning and the
Yeah,
waterways
but you
and
can
so
have
on.
somebody in such distress and not respond, man.
But
We can.
the pumps, remember, is neglect. A lot of it is neglect over these years on pumps and drainage systems and plugging and what have you, the silting. Nothing was done. So rivers and things are literally shallow and overgrown with bushes and vines and all these things. It's a lot of work, and I mean I see it right in this community here. So, I mean, not too far from me, I see these main water courses where 3-4 rivers meet. It's all grown with this kind of vines across the river that clogs up everything, and that's how it is. But what I'm saying that next year, come January or come the crop season, the crop time, they really have to get cracking big time with cleaning up the drainage systems to make sure water flows are in existence. What about pumps? And a lot of pumps and backflows and all these things have to be worked on, because the time and effort you spend, not to mention the money you spend during the rainy season to floods and compensate people and put through this hardship for people, that they undergo year after year after year. We can bring this down substantially if we do the right things early on and don't wait for May to come and then we're going to start looking for backhoe, and this one has spare tire and that one have the license and all this kind of crap. They have to put these things in place now so that come January when the dry season hits, you get on the road cracking, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I heard Dr. Ramap in the background there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm listening. It's just that, I guess, as I say, we give them until the end of the year and see. But there are certain things I guess might be have a bigger, a bigger plan behind it. And but I mean, as Gary was saying, if people are in an emergency, there's a different thing. You need to alleviate, try to mitigate and at least a temporary fix. So if something has been repeated over and over again, I mean, somebody should really try and at least help in some way. But the rainy season will finish, hopefully in the next few weeks. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, November is our rainiest month, so let's hope that by
Yeah,
the
but
next 2 weeks.
all that's understood. But when people in such distress at the same time, you can't tell a man hanging off
Yeah,
a
That's
cliff
correct.
with
Correct.
the last
Correct.
finger
something
there
as
that
I
to
said,
hold
something
on. We
something
come
has to
in.
be
We can't
done.
be coming. We had to come.
There must be a short-term fix. You know.
Absolutely.
I'm not doubting it. I mean, I've seen our minister of local government working consistently, but the people under her needs to be a little more respectful also. And respond. Don't ignore people calls either. Because
Yeah.
you know what? When you ignore people calls, I get the call over here. Seriously, I get woken up. I don't go to sleep until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I get in a call 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So
Ah,
uh when you so I end up getting the call. but but
but
we really have to get our act together. There's a lot to be
Definitely.
done.
Definitely.
There's a lot to be done. Lot to be done.
and one wonders, you know, if those in authority are aware of some of these things. I mean, I am under the impression that a lot of these young ministers and them really still searching and feeling their way through things. And I am convinced that in some situation there is sabotage going on. I'm strongly convinced of that now.
Well, it's PNM country, it's
Yeah,
PNM
yeah.
justice system,
So
PNM police, PNM military. We know the deal.
so
And
it's
the,
in
and the
it's
press, the press
oh,
is working so viciously against our prime minister.
so it's in their interest to make sure that whatever good plans you have will fail.
But
This
I
is
got news for them. This is not the days of Eric William. We have social media today, and we will counterattack you for all the lies that you're bringing forward and the propaganda. We will stand with our prime minister.
Definitely. Definitely.
So, Dr. Rambo, how is your area up there?
Well, we don't really have any flooding and thing here.
Oh, because you're kind of up on the hill, right? Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, we actually in our area it's very it's the land it's a little different. So we don't really have flooding. We're not really lying or in any plains. If you look at the geography of Trinidad and Tobago, we're somewhere between the central range and the southern range. So we don't really have. We're not in the keen areas that we used to have in those low-lying areas. So we're pretty good. We're on the Philippine estate, the old Philippine estate, which was really the Palmis La
Mhm.
Romaine Philippine, estate, which was very undulating lands with reasonable drainage. So we really wouldn't collect any water as such here, unless of course we get the rare 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 year sort of rainfall that just stops down, just pours. But no. We okay with respect to flooding. Our big problem here would be an earthquake or something else. Or some sort of, my neighbor is next door, so that's a big risk for us here because anybody who tries to, we're looking at terrorism or anything else. If you're looking at our risk profile here, with her now having office here and thing, that's our biggest risk here in terms of mitigation rather than flooding. If somebody want to throw a bomb on my neighbor there, we'll be gone with the bomb.
Yeah, most people only have out in Trinidad. They have more bomb in their breath than actually can do something. We are big talkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the amount of U.S. military available to respond to her assistance, go ahead and try. Yeah, yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. So,
Definitely.
but I know mostly we will agree with the people that could blow hot air. We don't get nothing done, and but let's hope for the best. Gentlemen, anything else you want to cover so far?
Whatever news and so on, but the latest going around, we tackle those things. I still maintain that we're in a good spot as of this point in time, but I'm fearful, I'm really fearful of what can happen next year. And that will lend more direction when that time comes. I'll be able to assess for myself at least.
Have no fear, Kamla is here.
Where we heading, or whether I am heading back to the US for permanently or not. That's my take on it. I don't know. Anybody else?
I am so relieved to know that Mrs. Bisesa is the prime minister and not that Moran was there for so long a period. There was such a oppressive, depressive kind of feeling, and hopelessness. But
Hopeless.
it
That's
feels
the word.
good. Feels
That's the word.
good. It feels
That's the
really
word.
good to know Mrs. Bisesa is the prime minister and the UNC
Absolutely.
government.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One there's hope on one side and hopelessness in the other side.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Well, as I say, I
So,
agree. Let's see, give them a chance and see what happens, and we'll be able to. We still support them. It's just that
oh
we
yeah.
hope that
Oh yeah.
we hope that they I mean, clearly we're not subtracting from anything. We're adding, and we want to add in a more strategic and a more a way that is more giving more impact and has a greater legacy for the UNC as a whole, as a party. But if they get, we keep saying that if they get bogged down in the normal day-to-day run of the mill activities, they would tend to be in the forest and miss the whole long-term strategy, in terms of governance, which is a very important thing. So we are already getting little this feedbacks from the
Flustered.
people on the
Flustered.
ground, right? That the people are already getting a little worried. What I should say, they're
Yeah.
talking about
I think they're getting flustered. In fact, recently, they had this 20,000 jobs
yeah,
um, advertised, and people have applied, and
yeah,
it was rumored that interviews will be next
yeah,
over the past 2 weeks, but nothing has happened, and nobody knows about the status of the applications and what
yeah,
have you. So the feedback mechanism has been a weak link, I will say,
yeah.
in the
It's just
news.
we getting some statements from like ministers and all this sort of thing, and some of them are not really in keeping with good public image and good marketing. So again, it's like everybody is speaking, and that's a
Yes.
recipe for disaster. So i'm hoping that I'm hoping that somebody pulls it in or reins it in very quickly. I mean, we don't want to be a totally not saying anything, because there are certain things that are coming out which and nobody's saying anything. Like, for example, the one with the lady whose father died in Mount Hope. yes, I know Gopi Singh will be on top of it, but and they say they will investigate, but somehow or the other we need to get more than that. Investigation is a short term thing, you know. It's a is a more long term answer people looking for. We want to say that okay, PNM causes, but people want to hear PNM causes again. You know, we finished that.
They're
That's
going to pass history. We
yeah,
pass
that is,
history.
you know, we in government now, so we don't want to say everything now. Well, PNM caused that. Well, we have to stop that sort of thing now. You know, so I'm just saying that the language has to be restructured and maybe leave it until after Christmas and the little carnival peacock. But somebody now has to really sit down now and decide what they really want to do in terms of, you know, performance does not beat tool talk anytime, unfortunately, and they have to be very careful about that. You know.
And we have to learn our lessons from history. Look, historically, PNM has only been out of an election year only 5 years, not more than that, because they always come back at the end of a 5 year term to be in power again. And it happened in 1986 when they were literally disseminated at 33-3. 33-3. NAR won the election that year. And they come back and they win after 5 years. They come back to be the main party, ruling party. So you got to give them credit for being that resilient to come fight back from wherever they are. And one wonders if this administration don't get their act together soon, because come after Christmas is Carnival. After Carnival is April. That means a year has gone. You know,
Yeah, I
before
mean,
you blink, a year has gone, and people start to say, "Well, where we after a year? You only cleaning mess, cleaning
I'm
mess, and you just cleaning stuff. You ain't doing no progress. Just cleaning."
yeah. I
You
remember
know,
Franklin Khan telling me once, you know, he said, Stephen, people they don't win elections in Trinidad, you know, they lose elections. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Well, I mean, good things have been done, as Gary's saying. Things are happening, but again, I think they should be. I mean, they're having their press releases and whatever. I mean, that seems to be inconsistent, and you know, sometimes you get in it, sometimes on a Tuesday, sometimes not. I guess depending on what happens, but you know, they're not as consistent as I would have thought. You know, every Tuesday, you know, they used to have it sometimes early, sometimes late, but I guess they're waiting on money and whatever. But we just have to wait and patient. But I think I agree with Gary and Ken. The if something is happening, like people are affected by flooding, you know, and it's happening every week, every time the rain falls. I guess just as you mobilize all those tractors and things, people need to just try to see if they could help these people out, because there's one complaint coming over and over again, and that has to be at least sorted out until a permanent fix is possible. Because this is what causes the frustration. You know, this is the simple things, the little things, not the big schools and the big malls and the big investment and the big plazas and the waterfronts and whatnot. It's just simple things.
yep. And I don't think we have much more to discuss, Gary. We can wrap up now.
Yeah, I think we're gonna close it up. I think Ken got knocked out there. So Ken,
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
got
wrap
knocked
up now.
out.
Is there any last thing you gotta say?
You all happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Gary and everybody in Trinidad, Sumant, Dr. Amrup. Have a
Yeah,
safe and
thanks very
happy
much.
Thanksgiving.
I'm going on the
And
islands. I hope I catch some big fish down there.
We're gonna enjoy the turkey. Can you enjoy it
yeah,
for us this year?
definitely, guys. So stay safe, and we'll
Uh,
talk soon.
All
okay.
right, man. Take care. Enjoy.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, boy. Bye.
Okay.